It's Christine Wilson and Saphira Galoob, and you'll thank us later. Tune in every week and hang out with us because we're a lot of fun.
And no topics off the record, we decided. We are open to talking about everything together with a bit of a sense of humor, a lot of self-forgiveness, a lot of grace, and always being wiser on the other end. Bring it on, girls and boys.
You know what? You'll thank me later that I'm telling you about this. You'll thank me. They're going to hate us, Saphira. It's going to be nuts.
Well, good morning. You'll thank us later, audience, and you'll thank us later, friends. Good morning, Christine.
Hello.
Hello, and Courtney.
Hi.
We have a special program today because one of our very own, Miss Courtney, shared with us last week, and I will tell you the happy dance that I did was pretty significant, that she is expecting. And ooh, yeah, I know. And planning on it and excited about it. Hey, Courtney, how many weeks are we?
21.
21. So
yeah, today, actually.
21 today. So I know that when this is not necessarily the case, or maybe it was, I just didn't know about it, but every day you can know the size of how you're developing. What are you comparable today?
A banana. Interesting.
Ooh, you're a banana today.
Yeah. For a while, it's a very round fruit or something, but then as they grow, they start to measure instead of like head to butt, it's head to heel. So now finally we're in like legitimate length.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A banana's big.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
So that's exciting.
So can you feel it?
She started to kick a little bit. I would say literally in the past like 24 to 48 hours.
Ooh. So you just said she. Was that intentional?
Yes. Yeah. We're not fighting that or anything.
Clearly we have a planner. I was like, I did not know, but clearly we have a planner. And we thought that the conversation today would be interesting. One, Nicole and Cody have not gone through that kind of journey. So there'll be some interesting maybe questions or that they may be asking Courtney. And of course, Christine and I have gone through that journey. Christine is the most experienced here because she's gone through it twice.
Oh, gosh.
We thought we'd have a conversation about first-time pregnancies. And for our audience who's gone through it before, we hope it'll make you laugh a little bit because you will have known. And for those who've never gone through it before, we hope it will kind of open the aperture of curiosities and hopefully reduce some of the fears and maybe talk about things that your mother's never told you, because there are some of those things as well.
Oh, yeah. We have to be very careful that we answer her questions and not scare her because she can't turn back now.
Oh, yeah.
Cool.
It's a one-way journey towards you're having that baby.
Right.
That baby.
I do remember we went to the class at the hospital and we watched the video and I looked at my husband like, holy shit. And he goes, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
You're down the road. You're going to get through it like everybody else. And I was like, yeah, okay. Ready for that. Yep.
Before I will just tell you anecdotally, and because then we'll get started with questions, is that I had my son. And then several years later, my daughter, who was my older daughter from my husband's first marriage, she gave birth to our granddaughter. That was 16 years ago.
Wow.
And I was in the birthing room at the business side. And all I have to say, it's a really good thing that I saw that before I gave birth, because that totally changed my perspective on what was happening, what to expect, where to have anxiety. It was really good. Not knowing is actually a gift. Don't try to figure everything out. Just go with the fact that other people know more than you, and it will turn out better for everyone. I mean, there are certain things you want to be informed about and but you don't need to know and see everything. I will just say that.
Yeah, I have a great example, Courtney. We're going to let you ask questions, but I have a great example. I remember I was like, I don't want to see anything. Like, I don't want to see that. Ugh, no. And the doctor was like, how about I just put this mirror over here and you can look at it if you want to. And I was like, I'm not going to look at that. I don't know way. But they put the mirror over there. And I will say the minute I could see hair, it got me really, really motivated to meet that baby. And it really helped get me moving on my part of the project. So I was like, a little bit of like,
know thyself, Christine, know thyself, because I would have been like, holy fuck. I think it's just Courtney, know thyself.
Yeah.
So Courtney, we're here to answer your questions, Cody and Nicole. Whatever you guys want to ask, we will do our best, and from what experience we've had, and hopefully we get you all prepped and ready.
Well, Christine, you mentioned in passing, we can start here. Um, you said something like when I was at my classes or this and that. So did you end up doing like Lamaze classes or things like that? Saphira, did you? And if so, because I'm sort of indifferent on them, I'm not opposed to them, but also I'll totally admit they're like not top of mind out of all the things I'm thinking of. It's probably last on the list. You know, did you go to them? Did you like them? Did you not like them? I'm curious about those pregnancy classes, courses.
Yeah, I did not do Lamaze. I had planned from the very beginning to have an epidural, and I was not going to just rely on breathing exercises to get me through the experience. So I did not do that. But our hospital offered a first time parents basically like a birthing primer. Part of it was, where is labor and delivery in the building? So you know where to go. So you don't show up at the emergency room, that you go to the right place. This is what a birthing room looks like. This is kind of how the experience will be. So a little bit, it was just sort of a get to know your hospital. And then they did some ideas and techniques for your partner to be supportive, like how you can lean on them and sort of like go through a contraction, and like what also should your partner not do, to which my husband did everything you could do to annoy me, like laughing and banter with the nurse over me while I was in a contraction. And then they were like, gosh, is she always so crabby? When I was like, shut the fuck up to both of them. So yeah, anyway, that was super nice. But he did take the class where he learned how to be a supportive partner. That was part of it. And then they showed a video of a birth. And that was the first time I'd actually seen the ability of the human body to open up like that. And that was like one of those moments where I was like, oh my God, I'm going to do that. That was definitely a little, which I felt like it was going to happen either way, but it did sort of, I think it was good for me to know that like my body knew what to do, right? It was kind of good to watch the video. It was a little startling, but it was like, hey, every one of our bodies knows knows what it needs to do to make it happen. So I think it was a 1 day thing. It was like maybe 3 or 4 hours. I would say probably half of it was useful and half of it we were giggling and being like naughty people in the back. But overall, I thought it was nice just to know the hospital too. And then our hospital offered tons of postpartum things. And in that class, they taught us about them. So they had a baby yoga that was literally you brought your baby and you did yoga on the baby, not you doing yoga with your baby. And that became the women that started my play group that I'm still friends with, 18 years later. So our hospital offered lots of things. They had maternity massage, they had postpartum massage, so they just wanted you to know all the things that were available to you. I did yoga at the hospital while I was pregnant. So it was a whole room of pregnant women, sitting there and crouching down together. I was like, holy crap, I can't believe we're all doing this. So that's what I did. I did not do Lamaze. I look back and I think it is a little silly that I did it because I have a spinal fusion and there was no guarantee they could have done an epidural. So I did meet with my anesthesiology team at my hospital ahead of time with all of my x-rays and everything. And they said they thought there was a good chance I could get an epidural. But looking back, the fact that they might not have been able to do it and I had no backup plan, I was just like really hopeful they were going to figure it out. And they did. So anyway, that was it for me for classes. Saphira?
Well, I think it shouldn't be a surprise to you all that I didn't buy a book and I didn't take a class and I was completely off the grid in terms of what I was getting into. I was dancing all the way up until I gave birth. Like I was teaching, I think I was still teaching like 6, 8, 10 classes a week. And so I was like really, really active. I performed 7 months pregnant. I was like, I was really, really active. Yeah. I'd say for me, my regret is I was pretty adamant that I wanted to give birth vaginally. I wanted to give birth with an epidural. And I will just confess the reason that I wanted the epidural is that I had this. The only thing I had read that caused me so much fear is that I had heard that your body can be so surprised by how uncomfortable it is that you like inadvertently, without controlling, like sit up and you can sit up on the baby's head. Like I was so afraid.
Oh my gosh, I never heard of that.
I know. Somewhere I read it. It caused me all this fear. So I was like, I do not want that to happen. So I absolutely want to have an epidural. I also heard that epidural can help open up the cervix when you're going to be giving birth. And so I was really pro epidural. At the same time, I had another friend who I respect tremendously who had a planned C-section. And at the time, I have to tell you, I was kind of judging her on it because there's all this kind of fodder about vaginal versus a C-section. Looking back on it now, I wish I would have done much more research on the long-term implications of your pelvic floor and just your overall vaginal health with vaginal wellness in giving birth vaginally. And if you're out there like, oh, Saphira, you didn't do Kegels, you didn't do this, I would just like to say to you, I taught belly dance for a living. When I go to the gynecologist, I literally can squeeze my vaginal wall to like rhythms of like Taylor Swift music. Don't fuck with me on
Oh my God, put that on your resume.
Oh, it's not strong. I just have a lot of pelvic floor damage. And so I wish I would have had the option, or I wish I would have explored a C-section option and just known more about it. So that's my only regret.
Yeah, and I will say I was very I mean, you guys have talked about how I used the natural diapers, only breastfed. I was super like hard on myself that first pregnancy of doing everything the right in quotes way. And so I was very focused on a vaginal birth. Like I wanted it to be as, by the book as possible. And I didn't, and I had an hour of pushing and my first one was out. And with the second one, I did 2 pushes and he was out. So I'm lucky. Now I will say, this is going way beyond your question, Courtney. We're going to just keep talking and then you'll have no questions to ask anymore. It's like you unleashed the 2 talkative people on the planet. Anyway, but with my first pregnancy, I was in labor for quite a while before I got the epidural. And so let's talk about how do you know when you're in labor versus not knowing you're in labor? So I'll give you that Friday morning, I went to the bathroom and this gloppy jelly nastiness came out in the toilet. And I was like, oh my God, what the hell is that? I had bought the books, but somehow I had missed the information on a mucus plug. And so I immediately go look it up. And it's like basically that you'd pass your mucus plug. And if you pass your mucus plug, that's a sign you're going into labor.
Christine, that was going to be my one question to Courtney. Like, are you concerned about your mucus plug? Because I had no idea what that was. And I listened to this.
I don't know what that is.
All they do is talk about it. So
I had no mucus plug experience, just to let you know. I have no idea what she's talking about. I did not have a mucus plug, or if I did, I have no idea what happened.
You just didn't see it, maybe. Yeah, I mean, it looks like Jell-O, kind of clearish Jell-O, and it blopped out, but it wasn't a ton. So I immediately called my doctor, went to labor and delivery, and I went in and they were like, yeah, no, you haven't even passed all of your mucus plug yet. That was part of it. Like, there's still a lot more in there. They're like, you're only like 2 centimeters dilated. The earliest you're going to have this baby is maybe next week, maybe. And so that's Friday morning. So I'm all embarrassed and I go home and I'm like, man, I'm such a loser that I went in. And then I went to get a pedicure and I said to my pedicure lady, I was like, could you just like massage my feet a lot? Because I had heard massaging feet really aggressively can help induce labor. And she was like, okay. And then she said, do you really want to have this baby today? And I was like, yeah, I really want this baby today. And she gave me this menu for a Vietnamese restaurant. And she wrote in Vietnamese on the top, give her this order, Vietnamese spicy, not American spicy. So she gave the restaurant and she goes, you take this in and you hand it to them. So I went into the restaurant at Eden Center. I get this food. I go back to the car. I take 2 bites and I'm not kidding. I'm just like snotting, pouring, like my whole body is red, hot. I'm shaking. It's so hot. I was like, I can't eat anymore. I had 2 bites. I was so like exploding from the inside of my body. Then I went and joined a gym because I was going to be a fit mom. And so I went and joined the gym. And then I came home and it was 4:00 and I put on Oprah. And I remember at 4:30, I was like, holy fucking shit. Oh my God. But then I said to myself, but I'm not giving birth today because they very specifically told me I would not give birth until next week. They told me that this morning. I'm not embarrassing myself and going back to that hospital. There's no way. So I called my mom and she and her friend Elizabeth came over and I made tea And I'm sitting with them and I'm like, oh my God, I'm like, oh, every few minutes. And they're like, yeah, you're in labor. And I'm like, no, I'm not in labor. They told me this morning I'm not having this baby till next week. And they're like, between the two of us, we've had 5 babies. You're in labor. I'm like, nope, 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 definitely not. So because of my embarrassment, I stayed home for a long time and didn't go back to the hospital. And so I did a lot of labor, which worked out okay because it was my first and I didn't just shoot him out. But I did a lot of labor at home in a lot of pain before I finally just couldn't take it anymore. And I was like, I have to go in. This is embarrassing. So it was like middle of the night by the time I got to the hospital. And I was like at the point where I could barely walk in. So, I mean, these contractions I don't even know how to describe it because you can't really remember it, right? You don't remember pain truly. Like you can't recall a feeling of pain. You just knew you were in pain. They take your breath away. They kind of make your brain fuzzy. Your whole body, it's basically like you feel like every muscle in your body is clenching and that you've held that position for so long that like the muscle is just shaking your whole body. That's like this feeling. And you just keep trying to get through it. And then the worst part is between contractions, you feel totally normal. So you start to be like, okay, I'm fine. Like if you've ever had a really bad stomach ache and then the wave of nausea passes and you're like, oh, it's all over, I'm fine. And then it hits you again and you're so shocked that it came back. That's the feeling. So by the time I got the epidural, I had time still to get it, but I had done probably like 8 or 9 hours of some pretty serious labor time. I would say if you're not a big fan of that, it got me through a lot of my labor at home versus sitting in a hospital bed. But the pain by the time I got the epidural was pretty mind numbing. So I didn't have that experience the second time because I was better prepared. So anyway, that being said, that mucus plug is definitely an indication of things that are happening. And, oh, I forgot, while I was in those 8 or 9 hours of like losing my mind, the whole mucus plug came out. And there was a lot more. And let me tell you, it's a lot. It's a lot. It's not a little bit of like Jello. It's a big serving of Jello. So that will tell you, if you do see it, that things are happening. My water did not break on its own, though. So I didn't have that as like, I've had a lot of friends who are like, well, my water broke, so I knew I had to go. I mean, that becomes mine had to be broken manually both times. So, all right. So that was just a 20-minute answer to what classes did you take?
Well, I mean, I'm glad we went on that tangent because I didn't even know what that was until 10 minutes ago. So it gives you something to do research.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. Okay. So, a more broad topic, but I feel like I've been fortunate enough to not have received a ton of unsolicited advice so far. That's usually not my favorite. I don't think it's anyone's favorite.
Yeah.
But I am curious about like, was there any piece of advice that you received that actually really resonated and you took with you? Likewise, was there a piece of advice that maybe you tried and you were like, that was the worst, don't listen to this person? Like, I'm curious about the good and bad advice you got. What stuck, what didn't, that sort of thing.
I definitely have one in mind, but Saphira, you got one?
Yeah. So some of the advice around what to take home from the hospital and some of the immediate post-care was really, really helpful. So particularly if you do a vaginal birth, like things are really torn up down there. So some advice that I had gotten from a friend, this kind of gets pretty graphic. So part of the issue is like going back to normal activities. You would normally sit down and go potty and other things. They basically have this kind of this tub that sits underneath your toilet, and you fill it with hot water and you go to the restroom there because that's really the only thing you can do. Teaching you how to use like putting ice in a maxi pad, for example, that helps. That's like things I wouldn't have known.
I stole they have these ones that you break up these pads at the hospital. I stole like a stack like this big, and you will use them for days. Take as many. These nurses don't care. You can say to them, can you go get me 10 more of those to take home?
Yeah.
To you. And a giant bag of stuff.
And they have like basically because your body is kind of getting rid of all this fluid and so forth. And so I also took like the pads they use from the hospital, took those home. I took the disposable panties home from the hospital.
They look like a
So-
fishing, like you could catch a sea
Yeah.
in them. They're gigantic, but you put all
Yeah.
those big
Yeah.
wadded
Yeah.
old diapers
Yeah.
inside.
Yeah. So that was all really that was really useful advice. The other advice I got was really asking for help from professionals regarding breastfeeding. Some people have very different experiences on breastfeeding, and it is a especially if you want to breastfeed, it can be like one of those moments where you like question your capacity as a mother if things don't happen quickly. So what I would say is, if you have problems like getting acclimated towards it, or your baby doesn't latch, like this is like one of those things where even if it's not going in the timing and the sequence that you think, that baby wants to eat, and that milk is coming out of your breast, and that baby is going to figure it out. I mean, there are some exceptions that make that not true, but so just being really patient with yourself, because that was like, I kind of had it didn't happen as quickly as I was expecting. And I'm such an overachiever. I was like, why am I not an A+ student on breastfeeding? But then once I got it, that was really key. The other thing that I did not take advice, but I regret, is that I had other caregivers in my house who would bottle feed my baby while I was breastfeeding. Those fuckers changed my baby's demand for my milk. And I love my family and they were being super helpful, but it was very counterproductive in the way the baby demands milk and your body produces milk. And so if you allow that to happen, you really risk the supply and demand relationship, and it really impacted my milk production and my baby's desire to get milk at the pace that my breast produced. And so that was something that I did not have information on that negatively impacted the length of time that I wanted to breastfeed.
I had a lactation consultant come in, and she made it and I think they're wonderful, and I'm glad that hospitals have them available, but she actually made it more difficult for me. I think things were actually already going okay, and she felt the need to like give me advice that actually kind of set me back a little bit. And I did better when I just sort of did what worked for me and for my baby. My big piece of advice that somebody told me is they told me to like plan ahead and have like music and an item to focus on in the room, and like something to like a treat for after. That was all like, oh, what a waste of my energy and time. Like I did not need music. I could not have focused on anything other than when I did look at the head in the mirror. That helped. That whole like kumbaya perfect experience, you can prep for it if you want. I just think in general, that's kind of unrealistic. And also in a hospital setting, the hospital sort of dictates what's happening. It's not your place. It's not your show. If you want to go to a birthing center, I think you can have more control over that. But at a hospital, they're telling you what's happening. They're telling you how you're going to do it. And I felt more comfortable personally at a hospital because I had been born with the umbilical cord around my neck, and I was, not breathing and purple, and I needed emergency care when I was born. And so I wanted to be somewhere and my second child was born with the umbilical cord around his neck and did need emergency care. So for me, that's why I really felt like I needed a hospital, plus that whole epidural fun with the spinal fusion. But I think the biggest piece of advice for me that was hard was that that first time I felt like I had been told breastfeeding was the only way. It's the only good thing you could do. Formula was bad, and I 100% agree with Saphira. You have to have that decision. You have to dictate the feeding and your production and all of that. But I was just so hard on myself and gave myself so little freedom. I look back and I think that really contributed to some of my postpartum depression, because I was holding myself to this standard of absolute perfection. And you guys have to remember, this was the heyday of mom blogs. Mom blogs, it was everything. And so I had just so many ideas and opinions and I worked, in marketing at the time, and I knew a lot about.
And very judgmental.
Yeah.
Very judgmental. It was a very judgmental time in terms of having a doula, what you had in terms of your prep. Like it was, and people they thought this is the way forward. Like there was one way. And so I actually did not fall victim to that, because you guys know I could freaking care less. I mean, I did, all the things that you probably weren't supposed to do or whatever. I mean, I think I did get what to expect you're expecting. And I think I read the first page of it or something like that. I don't even know. But I hope that you aren't subject to all of that input, because some of it's useful and most of it's not.
It's funny that like in this conversation, you both in a way came back to breastfeeding, because I feel like, yes, I have like a couple books that I'm reading lightly, but that's less like opinion based, and it's more just like, here's like what's going to happen in this trimester, and it's more informational, and I like that. Okay,
Yeah.
so that's the good side. But then here I am, like on Instagram Reels, looking at what people are buying for their nursery, things like that. You go down fun rabbit holes, which can lead you towards bad rabbit holes, right? So I could tell you all about what you put in that diaper, Saphira, that you were just talking about, and all that stuff has been super helpful, and that's why I love the internet. When it comes to breastfeeding, it is the one place that no book or social media page or post has ever helped me with. Like, no one can tell. I feel like, and I know it's a personal experience and I love that, but it's the most polarizing topic. Everything else you can find like a good consensus on, more or less. And there's a comfort there. I find I keep coming back to that, and it's like, well, to your point, Christine, well, if you don't do this, you're a bad mom. If you do this, you're bad. Like, that discourse, I think, is still happening. And it seems like it turned from the mommy blogs to now just like the mommy TikTok accounts. And you could just go crazy being like, I don't know what makes sense for me, and like, who's going to tell me, and how am I going to, like, it's the one area that is such a gray area that, it's so.
Well, here's the good news though. Here's the good news about it. The alternative to breast milk, the quality of the nutrients and the quality of the product are such that, I mean, there's absolutely science around the sucking, and that's all fine. It doesn't, I mean, there's so many people in this world who are healthy and successful with never having had a breast or had limited. The truth of it is, it has to do with what feels good to you as you're with your baby. And that, honest to God, is your barometer of decision making. If you need sleep, and that is more important for your mental health and your physical health, put a bottle in that baby's mouth and call it a fucking day. If having that baby at your breast gives you something, I mean, I loved breastfeeding, and I was so sad when it stopped, but I know that that's not the case for everybody. And so I don't judge it. So I really think this is where mom decides beginning and end, and everybody else could just go and fuck themselves.
The reason I loved it is they say it releases endorphins. And having had an entire life with an ADHD brain, it was the first time in my life where I could sit and be totally doing nothing but breastfeeding and feel so content. It like makes your brain feel happy. It makes your body. And I was like, I would just sit and stare at that baby eating for however long. And I wasn't like grabbing a phone or turning on the radio or watching TV. It was like a calmness that I had never experienced. It was like probably the first scientific, like hormonally, whatever it was, induced calm in my brain. And that became a high for me, wanting to experience that. So I nursed Ronan for 19 months. I loved it. I just couldn't get enough of it. The other thing is, I was so skinny because he was sucking all the calories out of my body. So I really enjoyed that I was eating like 7 meals a day, and I was like the skinniest I'd ever been as an adult. With Declan, I had to have more flexibility because I was chasing a 2-year-old. I couldn't sit in a chair and let my mind wander for 45 minutes because a 2-year-old was going to write on the wall or smear his poop somewhere or whatever. I had to be able to get up and do those other things. And that's just where it was a forced need to supplement with bottles, because otherwise I would have lost my mind. I will just say one other thing. In the middle of the night when you're really tired, it is so much easier to roll over and stick your boob in a baby's mouth than it is to go make a bottle. To go warm a bottle, to go get a bottle, to go whatever. So yes, your husband can go do a bottle, but it is really nice when you can just roll over and be like, here you go, and go back to sleep, you know? So, all right. What else you got for us?
Well, we could start talking about,
products
things.
Okay, so I had the little thing on the side of the bed that was like almost like a bassinet that attached to the bed. And I was just going to bring that up because we had such a fear of like rolling over our baby and being safe. And so it was right there I'll be very honest with you. Within like 10 minutes, we just pulled the baby into the bed. So judge away, but it was just easier for us to just have the baby in the bed. And once Oj finally stopped freaking out and went to sleep, because like for 2 nights he didn't sleep, thinking he was going to roll over him. That just became super easy for us. But those kinds of gadgets, I'm sure there are so many new things that Saphira and I did not have available to us. Cody and Nicole, having been at many baby showers, I'd love to know, Courtney, what you've registered for. Cody and Nicole, what have you bought? What are the cool things that are out there?
I mean, I think the big one that you sort of alluded to is the snoo. So the bassinet that you're describing is now evolved. And so it doesn't attach to the bed, but I guess in theory you'd put it next to your bed and it rocks the baby to sleep. But then when they cry, it rocks more. And, you know, you literally have to Velcro them in so they're swaddled, but then their swaddle's like Velcroed in, then it goes doot, doot, doot.
I mean, the thought of not having my arm out of the bed doing the rocking while I was trying to sleep. I mean, it was endless. This is like the best product on the planet.
Yeah, and that's why it's like $1,300, but you can get a marketplace for like $400 because they can only fit in there for like 6 months. So
yeah,
it's that expensive and it's super temporary. So I'm just gonna find one on Facebook Marketplace, and there's like places that'll like clean the snoo now for you, and so you can get them for like $400. I would say that's the like newest. You know, everything is evolved probably a little bit, but that's definitely feels like the new hot technology.
So my baby slept in his car seat. I don't know, for however long. And we would just basically put the car seat in the bed. We just basically literally, I mean, if you looked at it's like my husband, me, and the car seat was just in the middle. And that's just the way we rolled.
I know a lot of people who did that.
Yeah, I didn't use, and we co-slept until my son was well into 9 years old. Like I did everything wrong. Do not co-sleep. I co-slept. Don't do this. I did that. Like, I was like, I want to see how counterintuitive I can be with this child and what happens with him. Cody's like, I'm not sure what I think about this, Saphira. She's a rule breaker.
I don't judge. A lot of people do the co-sleeping. I don't judge. I don't know.
But that's why she has one kid, because you can't have sex when there's a baby between you.
That makes sense.
I'm just kidding.
I've never heard the car seat thing, but it makes sense. I get that. Like, it's probably easier.
Well, and a lot of times if they have reflux or like indigestion issues, if they're in the car seat, they're more upright. And so then they don't scream and cry. And now there are a million things that say don't let your baby sleep in a car seat. So we're not telling you that that's an endorsed thing by the American Pediatric Association. But I will also tell you, my second kid screamed every minute I put him on his back, and I finally caved and put him on his stomach, which you absolutely should not do. Back is best. 100% don't listen to me, but I listened to a kid scream for 4 days straight and finally put him on his stomach, and he stopped screaming. So there are all these things you learn and do, and then you have to smartly make your decisions on what you can handle. Right. Cody, what have you bought for a baby shower that you thought was cool?
Okay, I didn't buy this, but it's on every registry. That's why I want to know if you have it, Courtney. Well, all the baby monitors now are like so high tech and crazy. Like even my cousins, I'd be like, "Oh, we're out to dinner, outside, like on my parents' patio," and you have the thing at the table. Very cool. But everyone has the Nanit or Nanuit. Am I saying that right? Nanit.
I think I've heard of that one. So here's what I know about those monitors now, which of course everything nowadays comes with like a caveat. So the one that we have on our registry does not hook up to Wi-Fi. So it's similar to probably whatever all of us grew up with. The reason being is, sure enough, now there are hackers who can hack into your monitor, and they move the monitor around. They look around your room. They try to like get, they're weird. And if your Wi-Fi goes out, then like you're screwed. So I've heard pretty bad things about those. And it's like with most of this stuff, peace of mind, simpler is better. Like sometimes the more fancy these things get, the more anxious you get, So we have one that's super simple. That's just a camera. It's not connected to Wi-Fi.
That's another thing that's become like a hot button thing recently, like Wi-Fi versus not for the monitors because of that. It's wild.
So we used to have a client called Lavana baby monitors, and they were not on Wi-Fi. You could not do that. And they sold like crazy because people didn't want, because there were so many hackers. There were people hacking in on monitors and yelling and like waking up babies and using it to case people's houses. So yeah, but it is nice, like if you were out, that you could just like take a peek and be like, oh, look at my baby. So I get like, but you know, and also, oh, I do have a piece of advice. When you move your baby to the nursery, and your nursery is on the same floor as your bedroom, if it is, you do not need a baby monitor in your room right next to you, because you will hear every snort, every snuffle, every rollover, every whimper. They wake themselves up and put themselves back to sleep all night long, and you will jump up at every single one, and you will never sleep. If the baby needs you, they will definitely let you know. You will hear them cry. You do not want that monitor right next to you. You will spend the whole night thinking, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. That's my one piece of
That's fair.
that I learned the hard way.
So I feel like less is more with a lot of this stuff.
It is. Nicole, anything cool you've gotten?
I wouldn't really say like cool. I mean, out of my friends, like not a ton of them are starting to have babies, but as you know, I have a ton of siblings who all have
Okay.
or about to have more babies. So what I've been doing is like, especially for right now, because it's mainly my siblings and they're having their second children, I'm buying more like fun things that are on the registry, like books,
Yeah.
that kind of thing, or like things for the nursery. But what I've been doing is like I get something for the baby, but then I make like a little care basket for things for mom post birth.
I love that.
You know, like stock them up on, you know, things either whether it's like mental health things that they love or things to help with the physical pain of post birth items. So it's like, yes, I did something for baby, but my whole life, like my relationship's been with you. So
Right.
just a little something for mama, you know? And
I
so
would say those creams for stretch marks, by the way, the whole pregnancy, I learned the hard way. Used them for one, got no stretch marks. Didn't bother for the second. Oh, whoops. Got a lot of stretch marks. Oops. So it does work. I mean, now has it affected my life? You know, not the end of the world, but I do look at them sometimes. I'm like, huh, what a waste. All I had to do was put cream on. Like, duh.
Well, it may or may not have helped.
Right.
Hey, Courtney, are you a bath person?
No.
You like baths? Okay. Yeah. No, I was going to ask you if you like to take baths. So some of the things we never used that people have is like, we never use the changing table, not one time. Okay. So that was
I use mine all the time. All the time.
Okay. See, so this just goes to show, never used it, always used it.
Yeah.
The other thing is we never used the baby bath. The baby always either bathed with me or showered with Gio. I never used the baby bathtub, not once.
Yep.
So we didn't buy a changing table. We just put a pad on top of a dresser. Like it was like, you don't need a special piece of equipment for that. But I did love taking a bath with a baby. It was really neat.
Oh.
It's really fun, and they're cuddly and soft and sweet.
Yeah. I can see how like that get me into it. But like when I'm by myself, no, I just don't think of going.
I mean, I take a bath at least once a day, sometimes twice a day. So it was a really natural thing for me to throw the baby in the bath. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there.
Yeah. I will say, just in terms of baby care and skin care, like we always did like the preventative butt cream stuff. That was super important. We didn't ever take for granted because that can pretty overwhelming. Like when your that's pretty scary. The other thing I would just like, here are things that we didn't do, and I'm just saying it. So Luca came out of the vaginal canal, and he had like kind of a misshapen thing on his head. And we had this like elder Jewish doctor was like, don't worry, it'll all be okay. Well, I can just tell you, it was fine, except for now that he has hair. But if he ever decides to be like, when he loses his hair, he's going to have like a weird egg. And so I did not my doctor did not give me advice, and I did not take advice to use a special cap to give the baby a better shaped head. I mean, Cody, I don't know if you or Nicole, you have nieces and nephews, but the baby's head can sometimes come out misshapen. And it didn't occur to us that we should use this cap because our doctor didn't recommend it. And I wish he would have.
And also because you put them on their back to sleep now, the backs of their heads can get kind of flat.
Yeah.
So there is that too. But yeah, that definitely, yeah, he looks so handsome now. Maybe he could just start taking the minoxidil now. He won't ever lose that hair.
From your mouth to God's ears, he'd say.
But
he's gonna love that I'm like,
Yeah, you've outed him on a lot of things here. Yeah, misshapen head. Um,
Yeah.
But I think one of the biggest things that I also grew to, if you are going to be on your own a lot in the house, I got them all used. I mean, I registered for one that was new with my registry, but different places to put your baby when they can't be, when like, okay, you want to take a shower. So I had a little chair in my bathroom that had like entertainment stuff, and you strap them in. My husband and I can still sing Lion Says Hello. I mean, like that thing played around the freaking clock, but I could brush my teeth, I could go to the bathroom, I could take a shower. Then I had the swing, the like Papazon swing was down on the main floor, so that I could make food or do whatever I had to do. And then I had something that was like in the basement in the playroom where especially when Ronan was playing and I needed to be able to put the baby down to like do something with Ronan. So having a place to put a baby that's safe, you don't need it right away. You've got a little bit of time, but there's a long period of time where you need them monitored, strapped in, and taken care of, because otherwise you never have a free hand. And I was good. I would put on the wraps and stick the baby in there, but there's this period where they get a little bit bigger, a little bit more like they want to be doing something, and you need to be able to put them down. So collecting those things used that they're easy to find, people can't wait to get them out of their house when they're finished with them, and just having them strategically placed so you're not like, oh, can somebody run down and get the chair from downstairs and bring it up? That to me was super helpful.
It's very, very smart. It's very, very smart.
Yeah, that made my life so much easier. But I I will say, swaddling, all the things to make the swaddle easy at night, you know, whether they put them in a sleep sack with a swaddle or whatever, that swaddling makes the biggest difference. And there is a guy, I don't think he's on the popular baby book circuit anymore, but this guy's name is Dr. Harvey Karp. He wrote a book, and he also had a video. I was too lazy to read the book, but I watched the 10 seconds of the video you needed to get the point. His thing is called The Happiest Baby on the Block. And the whole thing is based on 5 S's. And this is when your baby, you want to get them to sleep or to calm down. You swaddle them, you put them on their side, you shush, you go shh, 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 shh. You suckle, so you give them a pacifier, your boob, something to suckle, and then there's another S. What's the 5th S? Anyway, long story short, very easy to remember because it's 5 S's. And you can get, you shake, but you have to be very careful not to use the word shake to, shake a baby syndrome. It's more of this gentle shaking with the baby on its side. I swear to God, if you follow that, you can calm a baby down anytime. And the more of the 5 that you can get, sometimes the baby's like losing their shit or you don't have a swaddle right there. So you may not get the swaddle, but if you can do the 5, life-changing, changed everything. I had a friend come over with a baby that was so colicky and so upset, and I did it, and she literally burst into tears. She was like, 1, I'm kind of upset because I feel like a failure that I couldn't do that. But 2, now you've given me this thing where maybe I have a chance, like surviving this motherhood time period. So Dr. Harvey Karp, Happiest Baby on the Block. I promise you it works. It takes a little finessing because a really upset baby to get those 5 things in place. So initially you might want to be like, hey, Chris, come here and help me get this all. But you will find happy baby. Totally changed. So
Noted.
I have one thing that I'm remembering also, because I've not thought about this since this conversation. And this has to go for you, Nicole and Cody, in terms of clothes. If it has snaps, don't accept it.
yes.
Snaps?
I don't do snaps anymore. I think
I mean,
our era.
18 years old is okay. You want to do the zipper bottom? Anything where you have to like unsnap and like take the foot out and
like
what the
magnetic net. Well, yes, is like great because it's easy.
Yeah.
But yeah, everyone
magnetic.
No magnetic. But I have like we've gotten a couple already onesies that are magnetic, and so up the leg and
yeah.
Yeah, we would be sitting there in the middle of the night going snap, snap, and then you'd get off by one, and you'd have to unsnap everything and do it again. And you want to actually punch yourself in the face at 3 a.m?
Yeah.
Oh, it was brutal. That was brutal. At least we weren't using safety pins to put diapers on. I did cloth diapers for about 24 hours, by the way. Bailed on that. Nope. Nope. Nope.
Yeah.
One last thing. Everything little is so freaking cute. And you know your gender. So you are going to get lots of gifts of clothes. I did gender so people don't buy as many clothes when you don't know gender. You don't need 0 to 3 months in the volume that you think you do. You need very little. Ask people or register specifically for those bigger things. And the cute outfits will get worn 1 or 2 times max. So just be careful. You want them all. They're so freaking cute. But in those early, especially the first 6 to 9 months, they will almost never get worn.
That's right.
Because you are going to realize the key to your sanity is onesies. That is like the only way that you are going to live, function, and get out of the house ever. But you don't need 500 of them. You need a hand.
I agree so much with Christine. I'm so glad you said that. I'm so glad you said that. That is such a smart thing.
Yeah. And also
multiplier like times 3 to 5 of the onesies and multiplier less of 3 to 5 of the cute stuff. Like that's the ratio. 1 to 10.
I
One
also
cute,
took
10 onesies.
Yeah. I took every single piece of clothing I had before the baby came and washed it in Dreft, which meant I couldn't return anything. Don't do that. Don't do it. Wash a few things. Wash a handful. See what you get through for that age. Leave the tags on. Maybe you could even resell it somewhere with tags on versus it having been washed and looking used, because you are going to be shocked at the volume of clothes that never get put on your baby. And you're going to be like, wow, this is insane. You need half to a quarter of what you think you need. Now, you do, when you go out, need 2 backup outfits. 2 backup outfits every time you go out, because that baby will barf on one and shit on another. I promise you. That will happen in a 1-hour period. And you're going to be like, I had no idea. So 1 backup outfit is not enough. You need 2. And the chute. Oh, and when poop goes up the back, out the diaper and up the back, sometimes all the way into the baby's hair, that means your diaper size is too small. You need to go up a size. Even if the next size up looks too big, you need to go up a size. They're in too small of a diaper. You didn't know that. That is.
I would have thought it would be the opposite. Like, oh, must be too loose. Like, I can see how your brain would be like,
Yep. Go up a size. And by the way, there will be a day in public where there's going to be shit up the back of your child's outfit and in their hair.
Yeah.
You're going to think, I don't even know what I do right now. What do I even do?
And when it happens on an airplane, it's that much more fun.
like,
Super
can't wait.
fun. Super fun. Well, thanks, guys. We can't wait to love on this baby. It's going to have so many aunties, and we are just going to be all over it. We can't wait to go check out your registry too and get some good stuff. I'm super excited. All right, Courtney. Wait, we can't wait to see yours.
Yeah, exciting.
Thank you, guys. It was great chatting with you.